Welcome to Santa Barbara BackBeat, a show highlighting people that make a difference using music in our very own community. I'm Tucker Bodine, and we tape our show right here at Playback Recording Studio, a cutting-edge recording facility for film, television, and music production. Coming up,
one of the first things I thought, and I woke up from the accident totally paralyzed from the neck down, I said, God, what will I do? I may never play again.
When a local musician was paralyzed from a freak surfing accident, he used his own therapy to create an educational program for helping people with disabilities to learn and have a better life. And you only have to go as far as the Santa Barbara Mountains to find a small community of artisans that hand make Doumbeck drums. Every drum mirrors the sound and design that is as unique as their creator's lifestyle. Also, they are called the New Cats and have a fan base that reflects just how popular they are. We'll take a listen and find out more about these young band members and how they got their name. So keep it here and keep it loud. We'll be right back.
A big thanks to Playback Recording Studio for supplying the location for Santa Barbara BackBeat. Playback Recording Studio is a cutting-edge recording facility for film, television, and music production. Catch the beat on demand on the free zone. Cox 8 has the beat. Santa Barbara BackBeat. Catch all the performances from your #1 local music show.
Don't eat that phone.
So catch the beat on demand on the free zone.
Cox 8 Sports on demand. 2010 season rivalries. Santa Barbara Dons. Los Pueblos Chargers. San Marcos Royals. Carpinteria Warriors. Bishop Diego Cardinals. 2010 season rivalries. Watch it on demand on the free zone. Local high school football from award-winning Cox 8 Sports.
Music is called the universal language. What language do celebs speak in? For Bob Hope, Bill Clinton, and Jennifer Garner, it's the saxophone. Julia Roberts, the oboe and clarinet. On harmonica, Bruce Willis. Billy Bob Thornton and John Stamos play drums. Meryl Streep and Benjamin Franklin both fiddle. Let's not forget the guitar players. Johnny Depp, Dennis Quaid, Christian Bale, Kevin Costner, and Jeff Bridges can all melt faces. Not a bad who's who. Piano players, that would be Katie Couric, Thomas Edison, Albert Einstein, Jamie Foxx, Anthony Hopkins, and Clint Eastwood. In fact, Clint wrote the movie themes for Unforgiven, A Perfect World, Bridges of Madison County, and Absolute Power. So, how'd you guys come up with your name?
When we first started out, we had 6 members, and each of our first names was a letter in New Cats. So that's how it started off. Now we only have 5 because Cameron joined and 2 quit, but that's how it started off.
And who composed the arrangement you guys are going to play for us today?
Well, I came up with the guitar riff, and we just kind of would jam on that at gigs, and now it's kind of, we put a backbone to it, gave it a form, and now it's called Isleta.
Nice. So if you guys were stuck on a desert island with only one download from iTunes, what would it be?
I'd probably have to choose a song called Flume by Bon Iver.
Nice.
I'd probably have to choose a song called Pick Up Pieces.
Awesome. Well, and a freak surfing accident helped start the Rhythmic Arts Project. Let's find out more.
From the beach here, I was sent to the hospital where they did an emergency operation, and then sent to the rehab in Santa Barbara. One of the first things I thought, and I woke up from the accident totally paralyzed from the neck down, I said, God, what will I do? I may never play again. And so from the side of my bed, I began tapping on the side of the bed. I said, yeah, I still got it. You know, I'm only a hand, but I have some rhythm. Fast forward a couple of weeks later, they got me up into a wheelchair. And I went to my 1:30 coordination group in the hospital where at this point I had told all the people in the business that I was hurt and I needed drums. So we passed out instruments to people And people had traumatic brain injury, people had stroke, paralysis, anything that would land them in our Santa Barbara rehab. They were there. And I didn't know what to do, actually, so I brought in a boombox and I played James Brown tunes, and we played along to, it was funny watching 70-year-old people playing along to Get on a Good Foot by James Brown, but we were laughing, having fun. All the various disciplines in the hospital thought, this is pretty cool. If we're working on memory, focus, attention, if we're working on upper body, if we're working on balance, any of these things that were rehab goals, they found some way to integrate the drums. This is the basis or the idea of the Rhythmic Arts Project, was then to integrate the drums into either existing modalities, whether we're approaching rehab goals, we worked in Alzheimer's, we worked in traumatic brain injury, we worked in all these different fields in the beginning to figure out where we were going to go with it.
About a year after his accident, he was presenting at a conference, and a colleague of mine saw him and asked him to come and visit our program and see if there might be something that he could do with our kids.
There I met a developmental therapist who asked me, have you ever worked with children with developmental disabilities? And I said, well, no. She said, would you mind? And I said, not at all. And I threw a couple of drums in the car and I drove to Pasadena. And here I met Seiko Nimi, who is still today my partner and my inspiration in this field. And I met a group of children 5 to 12 and another group 12 to 18. The group from 5 to 12 were the first group I worked with. And they had an egg shaker, and she said, they were sitting in a kind of a semicircle. They said, everyone put the egg shaker on the ground, put your hands in your lap. Bend over, pick the egg shaker up, shake it over your head. Put it back on the ground, put your hands in your lap. Pick the egg shaker up, touch your elbow with the egg. And I said, what are they doing? These were prepositional concepts that were foreign to children with developmental disabilities. So in essence, this was the first exercise in the Rhythmic Arts Project.
Since that time, I've seen so much progress that many of the students who have been in our program make. Dion here is just one of the students, and his self-esteem has just grown. He's blossomed. The first time Eddie invited Dion to play his Avila Drum Day Festival, I believe that was 1999. He got up on stage at Avila Drum Day Festival, and he didn't get off stage for 6 hours. He didn't want to eat. He didn't want to use the restroom. He was fine, and I kept going, come on, you got to get off, come on. And he was just having a great time up there. Going back to what this program does is it gives them a voice.
It's really nothing to do with drums or drumming. It had to do with addressing basic life skills, integrating percussion items into this effort. So from there, we started using, entered the drum. What will we do with the drums? Well, we'll learn how to count. We'll learn how to spell. We'll learn, to make a long story short, it's a perceptual motor match. If I could show you this. If we use a quarter note as the basis of the learning curve, quarter note is worth 1 beat. How many beats? 4 beats. Play 4 beats for me. So we're starting very simple in the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Using that quarter note, using this as a visual perceptual motor match. This, because we're hitting the drum, it's tactile. And because we can hear it, it's auditory. So we have 3 perceptual motor matches that are reinforcing the learning curve, which is what? Learning how to count. Learning how to identify a really abstract concept to most people, basic musical notation. Actually, it's enticing. It entices folks with developmental disabilities or neurotypical folks as well to learn. Now take the same quarter note, and then the next exercise, begin laterality, learning laterality, which is now the quarter note becomes right, left, and then right, left, left, right, left, linear concepts in the beginning. So now we take that same concept with the quarter note and we add colors. Now we have our basic black, green, blue, and red. And we make the charts. So we have 4 drums now, 4 color swatches. And eye-to-hand coordination comes into play, identifying our colors. Now I might ask that child, touch the red drum with your left hand and the black drum with your right hand, so we're crossing the midline. This is another very important developmental exercise for folks with developmental disabilities or neurotypical. There are times that when I've learned new exercises, a lot of new things come from my students. There's several new innovations. We're counting by 5, learning how to tell time, touch point counting, identifying nickels and dimes and quarters so we can make change. Simplicity is really the key to success. In our call and response, I remember Seiko Nimi, my teacher, who said, Eddie, we need to come up with something very simple in call and response. The only thing I could think of, which I thought was too simple, was hey, 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 ho, 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 hey, hey, ho, ho, hey, hey, let's go, and everybody dances, right? So we're learning to build confidence, someone is the leader, and there's a simple call and response. Hey, hey, ho, 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 let's go. That simple call and response has become one of the most popular exercises worldwide. And I've seen 3 children on my own speak their first words ever in this call and response. And I've heard from other facilitators elsewhere in the country that the same thing has happened. The concept of the Rhythmic Arts Project is to give people with intellectual challenges the ability to succeed in the typical world. It's really exciting to me that the Rhythmic Arts Project is being so widely accepted in our own community now. United Cerebral Palsy / Work Inc. has really embraced this program, both in Santa Barbara and in Santa Maria. We're in 4 different schools, special education classes. So what's exciting about that to me is that these teachers, I don't have to go in and try to explain to them what an educational modality this is. They just look at it and go, oh my God, I'm approaching this, I can use that to, and what about this? And they see, and they get it. A light goes on and they start utilizing this as part of their curriculum. Now I wrote a curriculum, some of them will use it, some of them won't. And what's great about that is that they're taking these ideas and making the ideas their own. Inclusion is the aim for all of us working in this population. Our folks want exactly the same things as we do. They want to be recognized, they want to be loved, they want to be appreciated for the things they accomplish. And they want to be part of the community. They want to be included as part of the community.
Here's a short note for you. Students taking courses in music performance and appreciation score higher on the SAT test.
Throughout Santa Barbara County, Cox is recognized as the leader in telecommunications for thousands of companies. When it comes to serving the business community, Cox Business is the trusted provider for phone, internet, and TV service.
Wilson Printing prides itself on delivering fast, consistent services to our customers. Cox Business is a true partner who delivers effective, reliable services to meet the needs of our growing business.
Learn how Cox Business will work for you.
That's the sound of Santa Barbara BackBeat. Get a look behind the performance and see the people that make a difference using music in our community. Santa Barbara BackBeat, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 8:30.
Check it out.
So you guys also friends outside of the band?
Yeah, I actually go to school with two of the guys. Actually, one not anymore. He's our bassist, Corey. But yeah, I see a lot around school. And yeah, we do hang out sometimes, yeah.
Cool. So what was your most memorable moment playing?
Probably West Beach. Probably because there was a lot of energy up on stage.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice. So if you guys were stuck on a desert island and only had one iTunes download to pick, what would it be?
Mine would probably be 100 Years by Five for Fighting.
Cool.
Mine would actually be a game, and I would choose Angry Birds because that would be hella boring sitting on an island because I need some little entertainment there.
It's awesome. And they're called Doumbecks. Creating them is definitely an art form. Let's head to the mountains of Santa Barbara to visit Full Circle Drums.
What inspired me to start making drums was how much I really loved drumming myself. And I asked myself, what do I want to do? What really inspires me? And I went to a gathering where people were drumming, and I felt something that I hadn't felt before, some sort of a therapeutic energy that calmed me down and put me in a very calm space. There was this sort of universal language where no one was speaking, but we all could understand what we were saying through rhythm. That to me was really important, and when I discovered that, I decided that's what I want to go towards, is I want to make drums. So I remember telling my wife, Patra, I'm a drum maker, and she's like, well, you've never made a drum before, but I was like, no, I know this is what I want to do. And so she started teaching me how to throw on the wheel, and that's how we got started. We're a small drum company here in Santa Barbara, California, and we've been making drums since 1990, about 21 years. We make a drum called a Doumbeck, or darbuka, which is a Middle Eastern drum. It's been around for thousands of years. It was around during the time of Christ. It's used for belly dancing. Traditionally, it was used for women who were pregnant to help them through their birthing process. Now it's used in all sorts of contexts as Middle Eastern dancing, therapeutic processes that people use it for drumming in groups. It's a clay drum, handmade by my wife Patra and I, and I want to tell you about the process of how we make this drum. So we start the process by mixing a powdered clay into something called slip clay, which is a liquefied clay. That gets put into a big vat and mixed up, and then we pour that with a pump into our molds, our plaster molds. The clay sits in the molds until the wicking action of the mold can suck the moisture from the clay, and it makes like a shell, sort of like when you dip an ice cream cone into chocolate sauce, it makes a shell. When that shell gets thick enough, we empty out the rest of the clay that's floating in the middle of the mold, and that makes a shell which dries and makes the shape of the drum. We let the drum dry for a few hours. We pull the drum apart, then we can trim the drum. There's lines, mold lines or seam lines from the mold that have to be trimmed off. We take the bottom out of the drum, and then we glaze the drum. Our whole process is done in what is called a single firing process. So we don't do a bisque firing first. We just glaze the drum. When the drum's leather hard, then we start to do the carving on the drum, and we custom carve each one of our drums. That's kind of our trademark, is each drum has its own custom carving. And if the sizes are standard, there's 3 sizes, the small, the medium, and the large. But the carvings are always different, and the glazing's always different.
Right after the drum is glazed and the clay is still soft, I take actually regular carving tools that I use in ceramics, and I carve the designs right through the glaze into the clay. And it's really perfect when the clay is nice and soft. If I don't get it in time and it's really hard, then it's not a good experience for me. I find I can express my creativity through the carving process, and there's all kinds of symbols. It becomes like a language for me, and it's really fun. And I get, I think about, wow, this drum is going to be somebody's important piece that they're going to play music with, and someone is going to be holding this and developing a deep relationship with the drum. I like to study a lot of ancient symbols that indigenous people have used in the past. And when you study those, you find that there's just like so many similar symbols that we use all throughout time. For instance, there's always the circle, there's always the 4 directions, there's always a sun, there's always water. Symbols that people can always identify all throughout time. And sometimes I'll use little circles and lids, lids to make an impression of a circle on there so I can get a nice, perfect circle. But mostly I just use my own imagination, and I've been doing it for so long that I can see what I'm going to do and put it right on that drum.
At that point, we let the drum dry for a day or so, and then we put it into the kiln. Then we put a goat skin head. The goat skins come from Pakistan, and they come in rounds, like a circle, and we punch holes in the skin of the goat skin, and we glue them onto the ceramic drum. It's a process that takes a long time to learn how to do, but once you learn how to do it, it's pretty easy. And the skins are very thin, so they make a very sharp, crisp sound when they're done, and that was part of what makes the drum so unique. It's the sounds are called the doom and the tek. The low is the doom, and the higher sound is the tek, and those are actually the sounds the drums make: doom, tek.
It's been an amazing experience making drums all these years. We've been able to support ourselves living a really beautiful lifestyle, and where we get to meet lots of really great people.
There's something about getting to stay at home and be with your family and be with your children. We homeschool our children, and so we don't have to leave to go anywhere. So we can sort of create this lifestyle where we are going at our own pace, and we live sort of with nature in that, like, if it's cold and rainy out, everything in the drum making world slows down, so our life naturally starts to slow down. And if it's hot and dry out, our life speeds up because the process of making drums speeds up, and we have to sort of respond to what's happening in nature. And I really like that. I think that we're really fortunate. I've been in love with my wife for the last 23 years, and we've had all this time to work together side by side, and we each do different parts of the business, but it seems to just work out naturally, flowing together. And she's sort of the artistic part of it, and I'm more the logistical person in the business. But I feel like we've been really fortunate to be gifted and to be clear enough and strong enough to move forward and follow our dreams, and to make it happen in our own lives. And I wouldn't change it.
Here's a short note for you. The most drum beats in a minute using hands are 1,589 by George Yurcevic of Australia. Catch the beat on demand on the Free Zone. Cox 8 has the beat. Santa Barbara BackBeat. Catch all the performances from your #1 local music show.
Don't eat that phone.
So catch the beat on demand on the Free Zone.
Cox 8 Sports on Demand. 2010 season rivalries. Santa Barbara Dons. Dos Pueblos Chargers. San Marcos Royals. Carpinteria Warriors. Bishop Diego Cardinals. 2010 season rivalries. Watch it on demand on the Free Zone. Local high school football from award-winning Cox 8 Sports.
When big-time Colombian singer-songwriter-musician Shakira was a young girl, her father took her to a local Middle Eastern restaurant, where she first heard the Doumbeck. She started dancing to the upbeat drum sound, and restaurant patrons responded enthusiastically. It was then that Shakira knew she wanted to be a performer. How was the band started?
It was started a couple of years ago by a phone call of one of the former band members' parents. I called this guy William right here, and William got together some of his private students, a couple guys in the band and me, including me, and we got together, practiced a few times, and realized that we wanted to pursue being a band together, and so we took off ever since.
Killer. I know your first annual Battle of the Bands last year was a big hit. On top of coming in second, why were the New Cats given the Rockstar Award?
Because they had the most fans there, and they're most likely the best band.
Awesome. I know Cox 8 was a proud sponsor of the Battle of the Bands, and winning the Rockstar Award is why the New Cats got the opportunity to play on this show. Start it up, y'all. That's it. Hope you enjoyed the show. Please remember to support music and musicians in our community. See you next time on Santa Barbara BackBeat.
A big thanks to Playback Recording Studio for supplying the location for Santa Barbara BackBeat. Playback Recording Studio is a cutting-edge recording facility for film, television, and music production. If you would like to be on Santa Barbara BackBeat, or have ideas or interesting stories of people that make a difference in our community by using music, please send us an email. Also, check us out on Facebook. Search SB BackBeat.